Hey guys. Alright, here we go with another shave. Now, I made a mistake a couple of shaves ago and I, at some point, got confused about the pause button on the camera and I only recorded, instead of recording the shaving and not recording the rinses, everything got flipped. And after I generated my lather, you just saw me rinse and then you saw the sum up at the end. And while that's a little funny and you get to see a little bit behind the scenes of me doing stuff, who wants that, right? But okay, there's it's done, it's out there. But I considered it kind of an injustice for this amazing soap here, the Sego soap from Zingari Man. This is the #1 scent that she has, and it's a cologne type scent. I just really enjoyed it, thought it was excellent. But the star of the show that surprised me was this Stahly head. This is the Stahly live blade head on a normal looking barber pole handle. And I believe it's from Weber. No, not quite. And it handled this feather blade really, really well. I got a great shave. And you can take the Stahly live blade off of it's the one that has the wind up handle, big and chunky, chrome-like, been around for decades. Obviously, it's a vintage item. You can get them on eBay and that sort of thing. But the head just comes off and can be put on any normal handle because it has the traditional threading. And it's pretty cool. It has these little springs, that the base plate, leaf spring kind of things, and you can slightly feel a little bit of movement with the base plate. I guess that's intended as it's vibrating to kind of amplify the vibration. But I'm going to shave with it again with the same soap so that you can actually see the lather and see the shave and all that. And so we're going to repeat again. I don't know if this is the brush I used at that time or not. This is the brush that I won from the Lather Games competition, and it's a That Darn Rob handle with a Declaration Grooming B4 knot, and it's just terrific. I am happy, joy, happy. I'm going to get him back in the water, and then let's put the feather in the razor. I really wish this camera would let me do close-ups of things like I used to. The top cap is a pretty normal 3-pin type top cap. The base plate has a centerpiece that's fairly normal. You know why I think it handles the feather so well? This middle piece in the base plate extends closer to the blade edge than many of the base plates, like with the Edwin Jagger type DE89, Muley type razors. They have a much narrower center area here, and so there's less support for the blade from the bottom, and so who knows. And then you can see these connectors here that are staggered. Those are the leaf spring connectors, and but other than that, it's pretty normal. And this is a pretty regular handle. I debuted the big old fat handle from WCS at the time when I did this last shave a few days ago, and man, that sucker was just so heavy. I have to pull the blade out of the envelope, so I'm going to have to put the razor down here. This is a fairly fresh feather. This is not the one that I've put about 60 uses on. This has only had 7, so let's put one more on it. Since I use the fresh ones to evaluate razors instead of putting an ancient feather on a razor and then expecting it to do well, And with those pins, it aligns perfectly. Really nice. And then the #1 shave soap. I've got the metering on a certain spot. You can see when I move white right into the spot, everything else goes dark. Normally that spot's hitting my face, which is cool because then I am illuminated properly and the whole background can, never mind that. And so I scooped up a 1/4 teaspoon of my sample, and now I'm going to spread that into the bottom of my lather bowl. Alright, now I really wouldn't mind having this scent as a post-shave product or a cologne because it's really nice. It is a very classy cologne type scent, and the description says maybe a little dark. I don't quite get that so much. I get maybe a tiny bit dark because it's not light and fresh type of cologne. It does seem to be more geared toward maybe an evening, but I really could see having it on all the time. Just really nice. A woody note to it. I wish I was more educated in the cologne type sense. There's probably one out there that kind of resembles that this is kind of patterned after a little bit, because it definitely, I read the note list and it was 6 or 7 pieces to it, maybe amber and sandalwood and maybe a flower or two, and it had some ingredients that were similar to a good many colognes out there, a good many shaving soaps, and so it's probably going to be reminiscent to a few that it's closely related to. But according to her website, this was a signature scent that was developed for her use, and maybe that's why she called it number 1, because maybe that was the first one that they had done. And it is a very soft. I didn't really have to worry too much about pressing it in a thin layer at the bottom of my lather bowl. I'm going to get my face wet now. And let's start mixing it up. Shake most of the water out of the brush. And then we can get started. Switch to the lather cam. Go ahead and put 1.5 in it because I'm pretty sure it's going to need at least 2. I was reading a vintage shaving book called Shaving Made Easy, and if you want to get online and go to Project Gutenberg, they have put that online, and so it's free to download. You can go to somebody and they'll print it up for you, or they have it in print and you can order from that if you want. But it was really kind of neat. They of course took it from the perspective of straight razors because it was made kind of right at the turn of the century. They actually said that the safety razors were out there and estimated that while a couple 100,000 of them had been sold, only maybe 10% of them were in use because they claimed that they would rust and that sort of thing. It was really funny. But one claim that they were making, the opinion in that book was that you shouldn't prepare your face ahead of time with the purposes of wetting your beard to make the hairs easier to cut, because they kind of said that was a fallacy. You actually wanted your hairs to be pretty stiff, and that the purpose of the lather, the purpose of the soap, was to help. Oh, now listen, when my hand goes in and out of that spot metering area, let me turn that off for now. You're getting kind of a strobing effect there, I think. But when the lather comes in contact with your hair, its purpose as an alkali is a chemical one to remove the oils from the hair so that the hair becomes stiffer. They actually recommended to do a small pre-shave routine where you washed your face, but then dry your face before you actually put your lather on. I might do a little trial on that and see if I can tell a difference. Now, of course, afterwards, not of course, but afterwards they advocated a hot towel and massaging your face to help with circulation and things like that. Now, this is a great looking lather here. Look how glossy that is. Glossy doesn't always mean great, but it just looks nice here. Let's go ahead and shave with it. Get my face wet one more time. And bring you up. This is a lather that really makes you feel good during the rinses. It feels slick, luxurious, very nice. So I wonder if that's true. I know I have found one other fellow shaver on the forums that actually does believe that you don't want to wet the hair and cause it to get kind of soggy and floppy, because if you picture a sapling that has bent over and is very flexible, how easy is it to cut that? But a very rigid branch of the same thickness that's maybe dried wood or a really firm wood, you're trying to cut at that, your blade's more able to go through it, is the idea, and maybe even cause a breakage right at the point of cutting, and so then you get a nice close shave. I've never really played around too much with that idea, but we'll try the putting lather on a dry face concept that the little booklet espouses, and we'll see what happens. Not today, but some other day. So here we go. We got the feather inside the Stahly, and it handled it so well last time. Feather is a sharp blade that often has an edginess to it, a tenuous nature, where you feel like maybe you could cut yourself at any point, but there are a few razors that handle it just really well. Of course, the Feather ASD2, made by the Feather Company itself, was made specifically, I do believe, for that blade. I've been told that the feather was made for the Asian market, and a lot of the guys there have very thin beards, sensitive skin, that sort of thing. And so they needed something that was very mild, and so that's why the Feather ASD2 is a very mild razor. But if you put a feather in it, I think it was just specifically made to work well with that sharp blade. All right. Yep, we've got some, and this just smells so good. Terrific. Feels great on the skin. And you can tell I've already got an excellent cut just from the first pass. All right. See, my phone that I'm using to record does not show me very well when I'm recording, especially when I'm wearing certain color shirts. The indicator used to be off on the side and it was easy to spot. So that's why I have a couple of times in the last month or two just gotten the recording and the pausing mixed up. And I should have known it the other day when I looked, and at the end of the shave I had only recorded for 16 minutes. That's when I should have known something was wrong, right? All right, cross grain now. And that first pass was very comfortable. I didn't really feel the edge. And right now I do feel like there's an edge, you know, touching my skin, but it's really like I barely feel it at all. It's like it's set at that perfect angle to just cut the hairs at the root and not mess with the skin. It's just kind of the feeling I get. As always, light touch, gripping the razor in a very easy to let the razor move in case I do hit a bump I didn't plan for. And also it makes it pretty impossible to press down very hard. The Sego base is very soft and didn't actually take too much water, 2.5 teaspoons. I'm about to lather up with a third pass, and here's the rest. So that's kind of the perfect amount, and that is consistent with the last couple of shaves I've had with this soap. 1/4 teaspoon, pretty much the perfect amount for me. And I'm glad because I had this sample, and knowing how much I could use helped me to get the most out of the sample. Oh, what a great scent. It's not super strong. This could get on my nerves if it was a really strong scent, but it's not. So it's just perfect. 4 out of 10 maybe. Some people might think 5 out of 10. And it doesn't take, as you can see, does not take a really thick layer. And not only did I give a really comfortable shave, smooth shave last time, smooth feeling, but I had wonderful closeness. For not being able to go against the grain, it did really well. And I don't think it's any of the features that makes the Stahly head different from other heads. I don't think it's the springiness or the ridges that are kind of built into the safety bar. I think the success is just simply the geometry, where it's putting the safety bar versus the top cap, and then the blade is at just the right place, at least for my skin. So it is a very subjective thing. Other people may not have the same experience. So here we are. My face feels great. The rinses, like I said, just felt tremendous. Slick, kind of silky smooth. The hairs were cut well after the first pass, and so every rinse was a slick, smooth feeling shave in terms of the stubble being gone and just feeling your skin, but also slick with the soap and the products that she puts in there, because she's a skincare. Heather Melton does the soaps for Zingari Man, and she is involved and knows a whole lot about skincare and has brought that into her shaving soaps. I'm not affiliated with that company at all, but just a happy user of those products. And I often tend away from soaps like this that are focused on the skincare and the hydration, having that built into the soap, because I have oily skin and I like the efficiency and the longevity of hard soaps, especially, or soaps that focus on being soaps and less on being moisturizers. But that doesn't mean that these are just sometimes a real pleasure to use. A lot of these newer bases that are focusing on kind of the moisturizing aspects during the shave. And if you do have dry skin, then I definitely encourage you to look into those bases currently that are working on those and adding in those features. The Zingari Man Excelsior base from Barrister and Man, the Milk Steak base, I believe, from Declaration Grooming, are just all especially built for dry skin folks, because your average folks could just put on a balm afterwards and be fine. But if you have really dry skin, you need to hit it with a couple of punches. You need a moisturizing shave soap, and then you need that moisturizer after the shave. And this is something that's been told to me by a couple of really trusted folks that I know with dry skin. And so that's just passing on the word from them. If you've got dry skin and you're kind of struggling with your shaves and things, so maybe try to find some good soaps that really are built to help you with that. I'm really enjoying this scent, and so that's why I don't think I actually brought an aftershave product with me right now, because I didn't want to mess that up, and I'm about to go to sleep anyway, and so that all the more reason to have a soap that has some moisturizers built in. It's pretty easy to just go on with it with your day instead of having to apply a product, right? I do have some witch hazel. I may apply that later, or at least it's that Thayer's tonic that's mostly aloe but has a little bit of witch hazel in it. All right, guys. Well, again, just a tremendous little shaver, the Stahly. I'll get a few of the shaves with it on the internet just for posterity, because eventually those things will be really hard to come by. Now they're fairly easy to come by. And you saw how much soap was left over. Quarter teaspoon of, as much lather was left over. And so the actually soap used to make it and the water used was a quarter teaspoon with 2.5 teaspoons of water. I'm going to clean up. And here we go with the brush that has been dried, and that's how it looks as it's been kind of splayed out. You can see the tips clump a little bit together because the B4 knot, this one at least, does gel just a tiny bit. You can also know that when it's dry, if the edges, the tips feel a little crispy or they've hooked just a little bit. Don't try to straighten them out when they're dry. You can break the tips, from my understanding. Just leave it that way, and then they'll soften up after you dip them in some water right before your shave. So, and then they'll kind of have a tendency to clump just a little bit and look like this after the shave. Just a beautiful brush. Enjoyed using it. I knew that the soap was going to be feeling great on my face, and so I wanted a brush to bring that out and accentuate it. Yesterday I did use the boar brush, probably my stiffest bore brush with the Santal Noir soap. And while it, of course, dug up the soap nicely to load, it was quite a bit of scrubbing on the face. It does have nice soft tips, but it's pretty, even when wet, it is pretty firm. But it's young, 14 uses, 12 uses, something like that. So we're going to give it plenty of grace when it's that young. It's still got a ways to go. All right, I'm pretty much done cleaning up, and we're good. So I think I managed to hit the buttons in the right way this time so that the right parts were recorded. My face feels great. And I'm lightly still smelling that soap, and so I'm really enjoying that. So it is out of stock on her website. I just checked the other day because I thought, wow, this stuff's so good, maybe I want to get some, because I don't know that I have a full tub of Zingari Man yet in my collection, and so I need to look through her stuff and figure out which one I want, because especially the Sego base. She's got some vegan stuff before, but the Sego is a tallow base, and it is just really top notch. It's elite class in its performance. So I definitely agree with many people who kind of believe that. All right, guys. Well, there we go. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and thanks for watching. I hope this has been a video that's going to help you out in some way, and maybe a little part of history, since we're bringing the Stahly live blade back into the shaving arena. Get some good videos out there with it. Was talking with Buzz, a viewer, and he was responding to my use of the 68 open comb, the Razor Rock Game Changer, and he had a great question. And I think I'm going to find my 84 Game Changer solid bar and compare the two to see if maybe he thinks the 84, for him at least, is a little bit too. He wants to find something a little bit smoother than that. But the 68 solid bar from the Game Changer from Razor Rock is too mild for him, and that's similar to what I've experienced with that one. But the open comb on the 68 makes it just a touch more aggressive. And so he's got the 84, and I think it's a great question, and I will find my 84, and we'll do a test with the 68 open comb and the 84 solid bar here in the next, maybe the next week or two, to try to get a good answer to that question. All right, so that's forthcoming, and I think that's good. I hope this video is going to help you guys out. You take care, and good night.